India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi inaugurated and laid the foundation stone for multiple connectivity projects worth $1.8 billion in Kolkata today. And among these were India's first underwater metro section beneath the Hooghly River, connecting the eastern metropolis of Kolkata with Howrah, has finally seen the light of the day. Sagnik Chakravarti gives you the latest.
The dream of India's first underwater metro under the river Hooghly, connecting the twin cities of Kolkata and Howrah on its east and west banks, finally coming true. Prime Minister Narendra Modi inaugurated India's first ever underwater metro service and unveiled the Howrah Maidan Esplanade section of the Kolkata Metro's east-west corridor. On this momentous occasion, Prime Minister inaugurated and laid the foundation stone of various connectivity projects worth $1.8 billion from Kolkata. PM Modi also travelled on the newly launched underwater metro section and interacted with students on the occasion. Prime Minister Narendra Modi also talked with the metro staff involved in the project. In a series of posts on X, the Prime Minister said, "The metro journey was made memorable thanks to the company of these youngsters and those who worked on this project. We also travelled through the tunnel under the Hooghly River. It's a very special day for the people of Kolkata as the city's metro network gets significantly enhanced. Connectivity will get a boost and traffic will get decongested. It's a proud moment that the Howrah Maidan Esplanade metro section has the first underwater metro transportation tunnel under any major river in our country. Memorable moments from the Kolkata Metro. I bow to the Jan Shakti and will keep serving them with renewed vigour." A huge crowd gathered in the metro station to greet Prime Minister, where he arrived to flag off the Howrah Maidan Esplanade Metro. The 4.8-kilometre Howrah Maidan Esplanade section, inaugurated, boasts of India's deepest metro station at Howrah, located 30 metres below ground level. This section promises unparalleled convenience for commuters. PM Modi also flagged off other train services during his visit, focusing on improving urban mobility. These include the Kavi Subhash, Hemanta Mukhopadhyay and Taratala Mejharhat metro sections connecting the suburbs of Kolkata with the heart of the city. PM Modi dedicated several other connectivity projects to the nation. This includes stretches of the Pune Metro, Agra Metro and Duhai Modi Nagar north section of the Delhi-Meerut RRTS corridor. The Prime Minister's visit highlights how quickly metro connectivity is growing in India. While in 2014, around 250 kilometres of metro trains were running in the whole country, it has increased significantly to over 900 kilometres in 20 different cities today. With inputs from Prasanjit Bakshi, Sagnik Chakravarti's report, DD India.
And following his visit to West Bengal, Prime Minister reached Bettiah in the Indian state of Bihar. Prime Minister Narendra Modi dedicated and laid the foundation stone of various infrastructure projects worth around 12,800 crore rupees at Bettiah in Bihar's West Champaran district on Wednesday. These projects are related to rail, road, petroleum and natural gas. Furthermore, Prime Minister Modi also inaugurated the 109-kilometre long Indian Oil's Muzaffarpur-Motihari LPG pipeline that will provide access to cleaner cooking fuel in the state of Bihar and the neighbouring country of Nepal. He also inaugurated and laid foundation stones of various railway projects. While addressing the gathering, the Prime Minister hit out at the India Alliance, terming them to be dynasts who did everything when they were in power to prevent the construction of the Ram Temple.
इंडी गठबंधन के लोग जिस तरह प्रभु श्री राम और राम मंदिर के विरुद्ध बातें बोल रहे हैं, ये पूरे बिहार के लोग देख रहे हैं और बिहार के लोग ये भी देख रहे हैं कि भगवान श्री राम का अपमान करने वालों का साथ कौन दे रहा है। यही परिवारवादी हैं जिन्होंने दशकों तक राम लला को टेंट में रखा। यही परिवारवादी है जिन्होंने राम मंदिर न बने इसके लिए जी तोड़ कोशिश की। आज भारत अपनी विरासत, अपनी संस्कृति का सम्मान कर रहा है, तो इन लोगों को इसकी भी परेशानी हो रही है।
So the nation gets its first underwater metro rail service in Kolkata. What does that mean? To talk about that, Vijay Kumar Dutt is joining us. He's an expert on urban infrastructure development. Thank you, Mr. Dutt, for joining us. Tell us, the nation did get its first underwater metro rail service in Kolkata. Explain to us, what does it mean in terms of connectivity of urban mobility?
Amritpal ji, actually rail-based transport, fed from electricity, that fed from the renewable energy, is the answer to the climate change world over. Why? All the projects, not only the historical project which set the metro going under Hooghly River, but all other projects, length and breadth of the country, are in this league. Now I coming to metro railway going under Hooghly. Not only under Hooghly, 13 meters below the bed of the river.
How many meters? How many meters, Mr. Dutt?
13 meters below the bottom of
bed of the river. Okay.
River, where this tunnel has gone. And it is a world over a big technological achievement. How you do, how you make it waterproof, how you do the tunneling, how you do faster, and at such a depth. And second thing, I can also tell you about the soil. Calcutta soil is a very soft soil, so to do that, this is a doubly challenge. I can tell you, in British period, there was a survey of making a metro in Kolkata. They say it is not possible because the soil is too loose. It is in the independent India when engineers made it and started this work. And now going under Hooghly is a very, very big achievement, I should say. It should be on the global scale also a very big technological marvel, I should say.
Okay. Mr. Dutt, why did it have to go under the Hooghly? As in, why did it have to be underwater? Why couldn't it be over Hooghly?
Okay. See, the safest thing is to go on the Mother Earth. When you are going on the Mother Earth, you are the safest. If you go, yes, you are right, one could have gone higher under the water, a tunnel might have it gone. But then, say, it is not one day. Maintenance is a continuous exercise. So once you make a project which is under Mother Earth soil, then the maintenance problems are reduced, the leakages are reduced, and you save a lot of cost on the maintenance.
Oh, really? I thought elevated projects, because they are up in the air, are easier to maintain than to get inside tunnels and maintain them. Or is it the other way around?
No, you are very right. But it's a situation. Now, if you see River Hooghly, it is quite down. If you look from Howrah Bridge, you will say at good, the water level is good 200 meters down. Now, if you make an elevated from that side, if one line is going, so it becomes very, and then you can have deep water difficulty in having pillars and all those things. So you have to see overall project, what the project is most economical. So in this case, it has been found to be most economical to go under the Mother Earth, under the river Ganges.
Okay. What would be the technological challenge in, building an underwater metro project?
Yes, technological challenges, say, now you have gone 13 meters down, but say river is perennially flowing, you cannot stop. Now, once you are tunneling, so you have to make sure that no leakage takes place, no flooding takes place. And so that is something very big, because once a flooding takes place, then to pump out, make it, the situation becomes something very, very big project in itself. So what you have to do is, when you are doing tunneling with the tunnel boring machine, have to be very careful to see not a single drop is leaked. So that technology has been that it has been sensing very minutely that there is no
leakage in it. Yes.
Leakage and percolation of water.
Okay.
And continuously for so many years, which it has taken this project to be completed. And of course, yes, now in maintenance also it will be taken care.
Okay. All right. My last question to you, Mr. Dutt. Give us a sense of, you said, the Brits were looking into the possibility or the feasibility that can Kolkata have a metro. Kolkata at one point in time was their capital also before they moved it to Delhi, etc. Why did it take so many years in independent India if feasibility studies were conducted way back to finally give shape to Kolkata's metro?
Yes, thank you. See, in British period, Kolkata was capital of India, and first priority to make a metro, and survey was done. But that time people were not confident enough because there is Hooghly, there is a soft soil. Like Bombay is hard soil, rocky, but Kolkata is very, very soft, so it was aborted. It was after independence, around 1972, survey was done, and first section, which was Esplanade, Tollygunge section, and there's Dum Tollygunge section, which was commissioned. I was associated with that project that time.
Okay.
The thing is, how the metro was percolated further. There was a study group of urban transport in 1987 at the instance of the then Prime Minister. I was member of that group. So what we said, that if you make a metro, an urban transport project, it must lose at fare box recovery to be viable. But if you calculate the return to the climate, return to the city, total investment is returned in one and a half a year.
Okay.
If you saving the fuel.
So you're saying economic costs and cost to the environment, to
Yes.
etc. were the reasons why we didn't build it for so long. Now have you overcome
And
them?
then one thing more, I am coming here. What model? So I should say, the problem is, I said, say Kolkata, there was some government which was asking the center to say. We said the benefit is going to the city. So the person who pays should benefit.
Okay.
So a new model was adopted. We said UTM, Urban Transport Monitoring Projects.
Okay.
So this report was accepted around 95.
So
and
they
PMI
basically shared the costs. That's what you're saying finally.
Share the cost and a model where it becomes a viable and is not a burden on the people.
All
This the model is so successful now, every city in the country is demanding a metro.
Okay. Thank you very much, Mr. Dutt, for joining us and giving us the insights into how India's first underwater metro rail service that was inaugurated today in Kolkata by the Prime Minister came about and what went into it. Thank you very much for joining. And still to come on DD India News Hour, UK Finance Minister Jeremy Hunt presents the spring budget, announces new cuts to national insurance by 2 percentage points for 27 million workers. 44 years after Pakistan's former Prime Minister Zulfikar Ali Bhutto was executed by the military establishment in a case of murder, the country's Supreme Court rules that he did not get a fair trial. US President Joe Biden from the Democratic Party and his Republican predecessor Donald Trump sweep their presidential nomination primaries. Nikki Haley drops out of the Republican race.
Why is Donald Trump threatening to leave NATO to fend for itself? Is crypto the future of digital money, and are we ready for it? Is there a whole new world out there deep under the Pacific? Watch Connecting the Dots to get the full picture every Friday at 8 p.m. IST on DD India.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India's News Hour. I'm Amritpal Singh. United Kingdom's Finance Minister Jeremy Hunt announced his spring budget, possibly the final fiscal event before what promises to be a challenging general election for the ruling Conservative Party. Hunt announced that the national insurance tax on payroll workers will be cut by 2 pence from 10% to 8%, furthering the previous cut in November.
From April the 6th, employee national insurance will be cut by another 2p from 10% to 8%. And self-employed national insurance will be cut from 8% to 6%. It means an additional £450 a year for the average employee, or £350 for someone self-employed.
And for more on that story, I'm joined by my colleague Ollie Barrett, who's joining us from London. Hi, Ollie. Good to see you. Okay, Jeremy Hunt announced a cut in the insurance by 2 percentage points. What does the new cut mean? One, for the workers. Second, for the British economy.
Well, Amritpal, what the government says it means is that the average worker will be several $100s a year better off as a result. And they say that if you add that to the cut in national insurance that we also saw towards the end of last year, they say around $1,000 better off per average worker as a result of these cuts. The hope is from the government that that helps feed into individuals feeling better off, but also a more productive economy with more money left in people's pockets that they can choose what to do with rather than going back into the national insurance system. So that's part of the idea behind all of this. Part of it is obviously also political. There were a number of other measures announced in this budget from the Finance Minister Jeremy Hunt, all of which are aimed, according to him, at fulfilling the government's long-term plan to bring down inflation, to restore the economy to greater levels of economic growth, and also to make sure that the country's overall debt levels over the longer term are coming down. Now, the opposition parties will tell you that this is an economic mess created by the Conservatives in the first place. We've heard language like scorched earth from the opposition Labour Party today with regards to how this budget has been formulated by the Finance Minister Jeremy Hunt, but the government insists that this will help individuals and it will also help the overall economy as well.
Okay, more pocket in the individual's money. But as you said, the opposition, let me quote Keir Starmer, he calls the budget a last desperate act with people paying more and more for less and less. What does it mean politically for the Conservatives as they brace to go into an election?
Yeah, it's very difficult to predict that, because one of the elements that we got from the budget today was that the overall tax burden for the economy is going to be at around its highest level for 8 decades, despite the changes that the government has made today. Now, some of that flows from a very difficult period for the British and other economies around the world with regards to COVID-19, with regards to spiking energy prices related to the war in Ukraine as well. Politically, as you were saying, this is possibly the last major fiscal event held by Finance Minister Jeremy Hunt before the election, but depending on when the election comes, there could be one more. It could be that he gets the chance to roll out some further tax cuts before the country goes to the polls, if that is to be towards the end of this year. But last year, when the national insurance rate was cut by 2 pence, it didn't make any difference in the polls at all. And so Finance Minister Jeremy Hunt, his Conservatives, will be well aware that it's not necessarily the case that the changes that they've announced today will make a difference to the polls, which at the moment show the opposition Labour Party potentially romping home to a large victory at the general election, when indeed it's finally called by the Prime Minister Rishi Sunak. And today, Keir Starmer, you mentioned the opposition Labour leader there, he's insisting that the country is, in his words, in limbo, and he says that the date for the election should be set at May the 2nd.
All right. Ollie Barrett, we leave it there. Many thanks for joining us for London and giving us that perspective on Jeremy Hunt's new budget. The Grand Old Party in the United States has thrown its lot behind Donald Trump, who emerged victorious in 14 of the Super Tuesday primaries held across 15 states. Nikki Haley has bowed out of the race, refusing to endorse Trump though. The Democrats by convention are backing incumbent Joe Biden, making it all but certain that come November 2024, we'll see a rematch between Trump and Biden, this time with Biden being called Mr. President. DD India's Mihir Maihuri gives us more.
As election fever grips the United States, the presidential candidates are campaigning hard. Super Tuesday showed the voters' support for the presidential candidates of 2024. Just a day later on Wednesday, another development was witnessed. Nikki Haley ended her White House bid.
I am filled with the gratitude for the outpouring of support we've received from all across our great country. But the time has now come to suspend my campaign. I said I wanted Americans to have their voices heard. I have done that. I have no regrets. And although I will no longer be a candidate, I will not stop using my voice for the things I believe in.
President Joe Biden and former President Donald Trump have swept the state primaries that were held on Super Tuesday, making a White House rematch between them even more likely. Trump dominated the Republican primaries, winning in 14 out of 15 states, including delegate-rich California and Texas.
They call it Super Tuesday for a reason. This is a big one. And they tell me, the pundits and otherwise, that there's never been one like this. There's never been anything so conclusive. This was an amazing night, an amazing day. It's been an incredible period of time in our country's history. It's been sad in so many ways, but I think it's going to be inspiring because we're going to do something that, frankly, nobody's been able to do for a long time.
On the other hand, Biden won 14 Democratic nominating contests, including Iowa's mail-in vote, but narrowly lost American Samoa by 11 votes.
My poll numbers, the last 5 polls you guys don't report, I'm winning 5 in a row. You guys only look at the New York Times. They're a great paper.
Trump's decisive win has reignited enthusiasm among his supporters, fueling anticipation of his potential return to the White House in the 2024 U.S. presidential race. However, Biden's supporter base has not diminished, even though they appear silent for now.
Where are we as a country now? We're getting to be a third world country. We need somebody to come back in here, fix the problem, straighten our economy out, and stop these wars, and have peace in the world.
I'm going to be voting Democratic. So even though I know there's a lot of things that I'm not happy with Biden about, but he's the better alternative to Donald Trump.
The U.S. polls are being closely watched by the rest of the world in the hope that the winning candidate will have an impact on world peace and prosperity. But in the meantime, the build-up to November 2024 has placed America in the spotlight. Mihir Maihuri's report for DD India.
Okay, news from Pakistan, and Pakistan never ceases to be interesting. Pakistan's Supreme Court ruled on Wednesday that its former Prime Minister Zulfikar Ali Bhutto, who was hanged 44 years ago after being convicted of murder, had not got a fair trial. Bhutto, the founder of Pakistan's People's Party, now run by his grandson and former Foreign Minister Bilawal Bhutto Zardari, was hanged in 1979 after a trial under the military regime of General Zia-ul-Haq. The PPP chairman Bilawal Bhutto Zardari welcomed the decision, thanking all those who extended their support in this case.
तो आज मैं जो ये यूनानिमस कोर्ट ऑर्डर है और मैं तमाम जज साहब का शुक्रगुजार हूँ, जो वकलाक थे उनका मैं शुक्रगुजार हूँ, जो एमिकस क्यूराई जो पाकिस्तान भर में से चीफ जस्टिस साहब ने इस कोर्ट में रिक्वेस्ट किया उनका असिस्टेंस का, और जिस तरीके से इन्होंने कायदे अवाम शहीद जुल्फ़िकार अली भुट्टो का मुकदमा लड़ा, मैं उनका शुक्रगुजार हूँ। और इंशाअल्लाह ताला इस फैसला के बाद हम उम्मीद रखते हैं कि अब हमारा निज़ाम सही सिमत पे चलना शुरू हो जाएगा।
And Chief Justice of Pakistan, Qazi Faiz Isa, said that the Supreme Court unanimously found that the requirements of a fair trial and due process were not met. The ruling was made in response to a judicial reference filed by Bhutto Zardari's father, Asif Ali Zardari, during his presidency in 2011. The court will release a detailed order at a later date. Human rights groups have criticized Zia's dictatorship for its repression of democracy, persecution of PPP members and public punishment of opponents. Zulfikar Ali Bhutto was a Pakistani politician who became the country's fourth president in December 1971, days after it lost a war to India and its eastern part gained independence to become Bangladesh. Bhutto became the 9th Prime Minister of Pakistan 2 years later in August 1973. After a turbulent 4-year tenure, Bhutto was removed from power when his handpicked Army Chief General Zia-ul-Haq carried out a military coup in July 1977 to overthrow Zulfikar Ali Bhutto's government. 2 months later, Bhutto was arrested on accusation of being the mastermind behind the murder of a political rival. He was declared guilty of the charges and awarded a death sentence in March 1978. Subsequently, Bhutto's appeal in the Supreme Court in front of a 7-member bench was dismissed. 2 months later, he was hanged in Rawalpindi. In fact, that many a times in Pakistan is referred to as judicial murder in popular parlance. Philippine President Ferdinand Marcos on Wednesday said that he sees Chinese actions in South China Sea with great alarm. The latest incidents involving Philippines and the Chinese vessels took place on Tuesday in the waters around 2nd Thomas Shoal in the Spratly Islands, where the countries have contested maritime claims. Sagnik Chakrabarti reports.
Tensions in the South China Sea continue unabated. The Philippines accused China of deliberately stirring up trouble in the South China Sea. Philippines Defense Secretary said Beijing's actions are patently illegal and downright uncivilized. Philippines on Tuesday summoned China's Deputy Chief of Mission in Manila to protest at what it called aggressive actions by Chinese naval forces against a resupply mission for Filipino troops stationed on a South China Sea shoal. While China has claimed that the situation in South China Sea was generally stable and Beijing's position on the disputed area was consistent and clear.
The current situation in the South China Sea is generally stable, and the China's position on the South China Sea issue is consistent and very clear. We will remain committed to properly managing differences with the countries concerned through dialogue and consultation, working with Asian countries to fully and effectively implement the declaration of the conduct of parties in the South China Sea, and actively advancing the consultation on a code of conduct in the South China Sea, while jointly safeguarding the peace and stability of the South China Sea.
As the situation continues to unfold, the international community remains vigilant, urging all parties to exercise restraint and seek peaceful resolutions to avoid further escalation in one of the world's most strategically significant maritime areas. Shagnik Chakraborty, DD India.
And still to come on DD India News Hour, coming up, a look at what does the commissioning of INS Jatayu means for India's maritime security. Also, Beijing acknowledges its economic performance is facing difficulties. Commerce Minister says China faces severe foreign trade situation this year.
news breaks, whatever it takes.
Connecting corners, cutting across continents.
Stories that matter from across the globe.
Accurate, authentic journalism that serves you right. From politics to glamour, from sports to world affairs, with a fusion of aesthetics and substance. Introducing news in a new avatar. Experience the world through a new lens. Stay tuned to DD India for an exciting journey beyond borders.
In a world that never stops, where information shapes our reality, one app stands out, helps you stay ahead of time. Introducing the DD India app, your gateway to a world of news right at your fingertips. Your most trusted source of news goes global, goes digital. Explore a world of options.
You're watching DD India News Hour. I'm Amritpal Singh. Shifting focus, in a major boost for the Indian Navy and India's security infrastructure, Naval Detachment Minicoy was commissioned as INS Jatayu on Wednesday. The new full-fledged naval base was commissioned by Navy Chief Admiral R. Hari Kumar at Minicoy in the Lakshadweep Islands. The Navy will now deploy some of its assets in the Minicoy Island and will also be the base where personnel will be stationed permanently, which was not the case earlier. This event marks an important milestone in Navy's resolve to incrementally augment security infrastructure at the strategically important Lakshadweep Islands. INS Jatayu is the second naval base in Lakshadweep after INS Dweep Prakashak in Kavarati. Minicoy is the southernmost island of Lakshadweep, which is about 215 nautical miles southwest of Kochi of the mainland. And in another development, the INS 334 Seahawks, the Indian Navy's first MH-60R squadron, was commissioned in the presence of the Naval Chief at INS Garuda at the Southern Naval Command in Kochi today. This landmark event marked the formal induction of these versatile and capable helicopters in the first MH-60R Naval Air Squadron commanded by Captain Abhishek Ram. The Chief of Naval Staff was presented a 50-man guard of honor on arrival at the venue. The commissioning ceremony commenced with the reciting of invocation followed by reading of squadron commissioning warrant by the commanding officer. Thereafter, the commissioning plaque was unveiled by the Chief of the Naval Staff. And the new base for the Indian Navy at the southwesternmost part of southwestern country is set to become a force multiplier. The base commissioned as INS Jatayu is located on Minicoy Island on Lakshadweep. The Indian Navy chief called it a historic moment for India.
We are right now on the decks of INS Vikrant, one of the largest ships of the Indian Navy and the biggest example of Make in India initiative and the success of India in this front. And with us we have Chief of the Naval Staff, Admiral R. Hari Kumar with us. Sir, it's a privilege to talk to you here on the deck of INS Vikrant. Make in India has become reality now. But as we talk about Make in India, before that we would like to talk about the biggest news of the day. INS Jatayu has been commissioned at the southernmost island of the Western Front. Sir, what is the relevance of the base? What would you like to talk about?
This is the southernmost island, extent of our land territory on the west coast of the west coast. So we have had a naval presence there in terms of detachment for quite some time. But we felt that this is now the time has come to commission it as a unit, so that we can further the development of capability in the islands. We have to have better surveillance. We have to have a response capability. We need to know what is happening in this area, who is operating, why they are operating, etc. So by commissioning this unit there, it will increase our capability as well as provide capacity for undertaking various tasks.
Make in India, the future of Indian Navy and the dream of a developed India by 2047. How is the Indian Navy playing its role?
We have given a commitment to our national leadership that by 2047, when the nation becomes a fully developed country, we'll also have Bharatiya Nausena as a fully Atmanirbhar Nausena. So we are working towards that, and as you said, we had progressed from very modest beginnings, long back, to building an aircraft carrier. There are very few countries which can build an aircraft carrier, and here we have about 75% indigenous content. And we are, every ship that we make, the percentage is increasing. So the main challenges as of now, if you ask me, it's main propulsion part of it, that is the engines, the gas turbines, the gas turbine generators, 2-3 things like that, which already we have started to make projects on that, and we are confident in about 4-5 years time we should be able to have our own engines. So that is one part of it. The second part, which is also a challenge, is the weapons component. So today we are around 50-55% in terms of the weapons and sensors. So we are now working aggressively towards it to ensure that we are able to have our own weapons.
Camera person Vishwabandhu Goyal, Amakshi Dongre, DD India.
And to talk more about that, I'm joined by Ajay Banerjee. He's a senior defense journalist and deputy editor of the Tribune. Ajay, welcome on the show. We heard the naval chief speak, say that it will increase our surveillance capabilities. We used to have detachments at Minicoy, but now by putting the unit there, INS Jatayu, it will help us. Give us a perspective in a very layman language. How does it increase your sphere of maritime influence, security, etc.?
Amrit, in your opening statement, you made a very valid point. I'll pick up a word from that. It is the southernmost island of the Lakshadweep chain. Now, this sits on the most important shipping trade route. Those are called the sea lanes of communication, which run from the Arabian Sea towards the eastern coast. That means the entire sea traffic, which goes from Middle East and Africa towards China, Japan, Korea, passes through very close to these islands. So that is the importance. Now, there will also be what is called a radar post out here, which will keep an eye on maritime traffic. We already have a Dviprakshak, which we already spoke in the opening statement. INS Jatayu will and has a listening post, what we call a radar post there, which will keep an eye on traffic. Now, very important, the west coast are these islands of Lakshadweep. The east coast has the Andaman Nicobar Islands. Andaman Nicobar already has 4 naval bases, including landing bases, including ship jetties, everything. Right. Lakshadweep was lagging behind in these because strategically we had not, I would suppose that we had not added to the numbers. This Minicoy INS Jatayu today had his naval detachment for the past 40 years. But that meant only irregular deployments. Navy persons, say 20, 30, 40, 50 people went there and came back. Now, this will allow a full-time foothold on the islands by the Indian Navy, which is vital in terms of turnaround times. That means once you are going to a place, 250 nautical miles of Kochi means around 400 kilometers southwest of Kochi. In the sea, 400 kilometers is traveled around in 10 hours. So you can imagine 10 hours are reduced each way in case you have to turn around time. Amrit?
Okay, that's an interesting point you make. You say that in the Andamans you have 4 bases. This is your second in the Lakshadweep. Historically, Lakshadweep has been ignored, for the lack of a better word. But I mean, the threats traditionally have been from the west and the south. I mean, given Sri Lanka, the importance of the neighborhood, the IOR, the Indian Ocean region, why the second base now? Shouldn't it have come earlier?
Amrit, one, Lakshadweep is too small to have a regular base.
Okay.
2, as you saw the visuals on television, the water is too shallow. So you need OPVs which can run. OPV is an offshore patrol vessel which can run towards this coast. Bigger warships can't go. Point number 2, Lakshadweep is too far away from our western threat. So Lakshadweep probably was.
Okay.
And Andaman sits on the mouths of the states of Malacca, the busiest traffic route, sea traffic route in the world. So Andaman was developed in that manner. And Andaman has greater space, greater land area. It's very huge and has got greater potential to have deep sea assets, even floating docks, which Lakshadweep immediately to its coast does not allow that depth.
Okay. Why the need for a second base at Lakshadweep?
I reckon it is more of a, at the moment in my belief, what I have gathered from open source and my sources in the Navy, that this will be largely be a radar base.
Okay.
With helicopter availability already there and helicopter radar base. Bigger naval ships not possible, smaller ships will be going
primarily
there.
For surveillance.
Surveillance.
Okay. Let's talk about Karwar, the expansion of Karwar.
Very vital and very important. Amrit, Karwar is what people have missed yesterday. Karwar now has Karwar located in northern part of Karnataka, just south of Goa, is now coming up as India's biggest naval base. Now it has the ability, this is called Project Seabird. Project Seabird's Phase 2A was inaugurated by the Defence Minister yesterday. Now that jetty at Karwar can take 2 aircraft carriers simultaneously. Now to tell your viewers, an aircraft carrier is around 280 meters long. It has got a weight of around 50,000 tons. It needs a certain depth of water to stay there. Now to have that jetty out at sea at Karwar shows the progress of us to maintain those carriers at Karwar, to have them based at Karwar. Karwar is very close to Goa, so the naval air assets are based in Goa. They can join in the warship at short notice. Now, Karwar will also have an enclosed maintenance area for 4 warships simultaneously. So this shows a kind of growth in terms of maintenance powers, naval land powers and the holding power of the Navy at its base. Karwar's size is huge. It is being made in phases. The first phase was inaugurated sometime in 2011. The second phase has been done now. By the time the third phase ends, it will have 50,000 people based. It will have everything facility in that base. It will come up as India's Navy's biggest base on land.
On the western coast. Okay. Induction of the Seahawks. What does that bring to the table?
Very important. First of all, Seahawks are the naval version of what is called the Black Hawk helicopter of the US. To remind our viewers, the Black Hawk helicopter famously was used in the raid over Abbottabad where Osama bin Laden was killed by US forces. The Seahawk helicopter has its special abilities and sensors which can firstly detect submarines and then attack the submarines using Hellfire missiles. For our viewers, why is it important? China has around 60 submarines, some of them nuclear powered, some of them diesel electric powered, but the 60 submarines need to be searched under the sea. Finding a submarine under the sea is one of the most toughest tasks even today despite technology. These helicopters are equipped with dunking sonars. That means they can dunk a sonar at sea and read the area. They can fire at a potential threat. They can land at all warships. They have got multiple usages which includes lifting medical evacuations at sea, doing quick runs and turnarounds at sea while being at the ship deck. Not that we don't have it. We are using the Russian-made or the USSR-made Kamov-31 helicopters for the anti-submarine warfare role. But these helicopters, the MH-60R made by US company Lockheed Martin, take it a step further. It widens the arc or the umbrella of Indian Navy's outreach in finding submarines under sea, which is an important task in today's world.
Okay. I mean, it's not just the anti-submarine warfare that it brings to table. It expands your scope of maritime operations as well. How does it do it?
See, firstly, it has got multiple usages. It's got sensors. All these modern helicopters, Amrit, have got fit on and roll on and roll off sensors. That means you can change the use of the helicopter at short notice. Means you can have a sensor which is doing just surveillance, doing night surveillance. The pilots can be flying at night with the sensor underneath, which can be changed. You can have a sensor doing, say, submarine warfare. You can change the submarine, just roll it off and roll it in, and have a sensor which is doing just camera work or doing IR, that is infrared work, or even night work. All these sensors are different because the camera doing a night camera does not have the potential to find a submarine. It's a totally different gadget. So that's the way it brings to the table, Amrit, and it's got long flying hours capacity.
How long can it fly?
It can go off to, see, it all depends on the radio links, how far it can go from the ship. Today's radio links may allow it to 100 kilometers, 120 kilometers away from our ships. By the time, I suppose, they are interlinked and married with the satellites, our satellite, the naval dedicated satellite Rukmani is already up there for the past several years. By the time they are married with that satellite, and I'm sure they will integrate it in that manner, they can fly to further distances, Amrit.
All right. Well, it underscores the steadfast resolve to put the Sagar doctrine effectively in place.
It does, it does.
Ajay Banerjee, thank you very much for being on the show and sharing your insights with us this evening. And moving on, China has set an ambitious growth target of around 5% for this year. as it outlined a series of measures aimed at boosting its flagging economy. Chinese Premier Li Qiang made this announcement at the opening of the annual National People's Congress, even as the Chinese Premier acknowledged that China's economic performance had faced difficulties and that many of these difficulties are yet to be resolved.
The Chinese economy is grappling with multiple challenges, including a property crisis, slowing exports, geopolitical tensions with the United States, population decline, huge debt, and record youth unemployment. China's economy officially grew 5.2% in 2023, its weakest performance in decades, excluding the COVID-19 pandemic downturn. China's finance and commerce ministers, as well as the heads of the People's Bank of China, National Development and Reform Commission, and China's Securities Regulatory Commission met the press on Wednesday during the annual 2 sessions in Beijing. Commerce Minister warned that China faces very severe foreign trade prospects this year amid weak external demand and geopolitical conflicts.
It should be noted that this year's foreign trade situation remains extremely severe. On the other hand, multiple international organizations predict that global growth in 2024 will still be below historical averages, with significant pressure from declining external demand. On the other hand, we also see the rise of trade protectionism and unilateralism.
The event followed a day after Premier Li Qiang delivered his first government work report on the opening day of the National People's Congress.
We are keenly aware of the problems and challenges that confront us. China's external environment has been more complex, severe and uncertain. The foundation for China's sustained economic recovery and growth is not solid enough.
China's disappointing post-COVID-19 recovery has cast doubts about the foundations of its investment-heavy economic model, raising the stakes for government action at the week-long parliament meeting of senior policymakers. According to an official survey, China's manufacturing activity in February shrank for a 5th straight month.
External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar on Wednesday called for expanding cooperation in areas of critical and emerging technologies to a safe and secure Indo-Pacific at the 10th India-Korea Joint Commission meeting held in Seoul in South Korea.
External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar on Wednesday co-chaired the 10th India-South Korea Joint Commission meeting in Seoul with his Korean counterpart Cho Tae-yul. Dr. Jaishankar termed the meeting as comprehensive and productive. The conversation covered the expanded bilateral ties, cooperation in the field of defense, science and technology, business and trade, people-to-people exchange and cultural cooperation. Both ministers also exchanged views on the developments in the Indo-Pacific, the convergences to challenges in the region, and regional and global issues of mutual interest. In his opening remarks, the External Affairs Minister called for deepening cooperation in the Indo-Pacific.
And our bilateral exchanges, trade, investments, defense and S&T cooperation have all seen a steady growth. While keeping up the momentum in the traditional areas of cooperation, we would be very much interested now in expanding it to new areas such as critical and emerging technologies, semiconductors, green hydrogen, human resource mobility, nuclear cooperation, supply chain resilience, etc., to make our ties more contemporary. Your focus on the Indo-Pacific region is a good case to point, and we both have stakes in its stability, security and prosperity.
Later, the External Affairs Minister met Gimhae City Mayor Hong Tae-yong. He said the Gimhae-Ayodhya Connect is a testament to the shared cultural heritage and long-standing people-to-people relations. They also discussed greater cultural and educational cooperation with Gimhae City. Before wrapping up his visit, the External Affairs Minister interacted with representatives of the Indian Chamber of Commerce in Korea and urged them to further strengthen the business bridge between India and South Korea. Later in the evening, the External Affairs Minister left for Japan on a 2-day visit, where he has a power-packed schedule.
This is a talk or a meeting to promote, back channels or what is called Track 2 dialogue between the two countries. It will be attended by the minister, but also by think tanks, lobbyists, and academics here in Japan. And it's going to be largely focused on the Quad partnership that these two countries share with Australia and the US, but also other geoeconomic and geopolitical issues as well. That is going to be continuing into Thursday. There also to look forward to is the 10th dialogue between Minister Jaishankar and his counterpart here in Tokyo, Yoko Kamikawa.
The EM will conclude his Japan visit on the 8th of March and return back to India. With Chris Gilbert in Tokyo, Raghav Kumar Jha, DD India.
The United States and India held the 20th meeting of the US-India Counter-Terrorism Joint Working Group in Washington, D.C. on Wednesday. The coordinator for counter-terrorism at the Department of State, Ambassador Elizabeth Richard, and India's Joint Secretary Counter-Terrorism, K.D. Deval, led the interagency delegations. Both countries emphasized the US-India comprehensive global and strategic partnership and renewed their commitments to countering terrorism and promoting regional security. The US and India also called for perpetrators of the 26/11 Mumbai and Pathankot terrorist attacks to be brought to justice and concerted action against all terror groups. Sanjeev Sanyal, the member of the Economic Advisory Council to the Prime Minister, while speaking at the sidelines of the India Global Forum's Next 10 Summit, said that in order to be effective in building narrative, it is important for the country to reach out directly to various audiences, including investors and academia.
What is important is therefore for us to reach out directly to various audiences, whether it's investors or academia and others. Of course, one of them is to doing events like this, but also through social media, podcasts and other things. And our experience is, in fact, that is even more effective than trying to get a biased foreign media to cover India in a different way. Because even in their own countries, their people do not trust their media.
And let's now take a look at some other stories that have been making news. The Calcutta High Court on Wednesday issued a contempt notice to West Bengal Crime Investigation Department and asked the state CID to hand over the custody of former TMC lawmaker Shah Jahan Sheikh to the CBI by today. The CBI team reached Kolkata and took over the custody of accused Sheikh Shah Jahan. India Border Roads Organization, or the BRO, has broken the long-standing gender barriers by appointing women officers to key commander positions, making a significant milestone in the organization's history. The first woman officer, Vaishali S. Hevase, was appointed as the officer commanding of a road construction company in Uttarakhand in 2021. After that, many women followed the lead. Lok Sabha Speaker Om Birla inaugurated a health checkup camp for officers and staff of the Lok Sabha Secretariat in Parliament premises on Wednesday. During the 4-day camp, tests including CBC, LFT, KFT, PFT, BMD, ECG, pap smear, PSA, blood sugar and blood pressure were checked. Facilities for consultation will also be provided by oncologists, gynecologists, orthopedics and general physicians in the camp. Apart from this, the exclusive facilities will also be provided to the female staff on International Women's Day. The 5th edition of the National Youth Parliament Festival 2024 concluded in New Delhi today. Haryana's Yatan bagged the first place at the 5th edition of the National Youth Parliament Festival, and Tamil Nadu's Vashni bagged the second position. DD India's Deepika Mahato had an exclusive interaction with winners who thanked the government for giving them the opportunity to represent their states.
National Youth Parliament Festival concludes today with the top 3 winners, whom we can see. Every speech was unique in its own way, but these 3, they took the winning mementos with them, and they are taking a lot here from today. Let's talk to them. This unique, first of all, format, What was your experience? What was your learnings when you were, scripting your entire script to the time when you came in front of the Union Minister and the Lok Sabha Speaker himself and you said it all?
Well, thank you for your question, ma'am. Honestly, it is a dream come true for somebody like me who has come from a rural background to stand in this vulnerable hall where once Nehru and Patel and Dr. Ambedkar stood. When I was preparing my speech, my bone of contention was to speak my heart out. What I really wanted to say, and that's what I did. And hopefully I was able to reach the hearts of the judges and the contestants.
We have a winner from Tamil Nadu also. First of all, how the experience has been for you in Delhi and, witnessing this glorious moment for yourself, and that too in historic Parliament's Central Hall.
It's indeed amazing. Words can't describe the feeling which I'm feeling now. Actually, I'm just really got amazed by the simplicity and the majesticity of our ministers. How simple are they, and the way they spoke, everything is just amazing. And in this moment, I must congratulate, I must express my gratitude for the Honorable PM of our nation, because this program is the brain. He's the brain behind this program. And the facilities which we have encased here, the hotel facilities and even the flight travels, everything is amazing. We haven't even expected this much. Everything is amazing, the hospitality, every moment, people are so lovely. And I must thank the government for all these arrangements. Thank you so much.
The winners who are saying that sooner a day will come when India will become the Vishwaguru, the leader of the country. We are already seeing that the past 9 years, 10 years have been really transformational in India's journey. And so now the youth is all set with the upcoming elections. Also, they are all set to represent India and cast their vote, say what they have to say at the Parliament, and also involve all the people from all across the country. With camera person Pramod Negi, this is Deepika reporting for DD India, New Delhi.
And that's it in this edition of DD India News Hour. But let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. You can connect with us on Facebook, X, formerly known as Twitter, and Instagram. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Amritpal Singh from all of us here in Delhi studios. Thanks for watching DD India News Hour.